lungs. My daddy's not there where he ought to be. Somewhere in Georgia, skinning and shooting craps on his knees. Another victim born out here in the hood. And based on statistics, it really ain't all good. Welfare takes the tab, and daddy can't sign, and it can't be seen. The family becomes a crime. The hunt is on, and brother, you're the prey. Serving time in jail, it just ain't the way. I'm living so hard, baby, that my hair is gray. We gotta make a change. It's a brand new day. A new world order, a brand new day. It's a new day. A change of mind for the human race. It's a new world order, a brand new day. A change of mind for the human race. Operation in flux, and it's on the way. We just marched 1,000,000 plus the other day. Look, we all witnessed the sweat rolling down Miss Liberty's head. She knows the sleeping giant is no longer sleeping dead. Oh, what a fulfillment of prophecy. Let us teach the children freedom's never been free. It's okay to cry, go ahead and cry. 'Cause Jesus wept, but hope and faith he kept. It's a new day. World order, a brand new day. It's a change of mind for the human race. It's a new world order, a brand new day. It's a change of mind for the human race. The die has been cast, and there's no need to fear. 'Cause people, the answer to your prayers are here. Sister Mary, don't you weep. Tell mother not to moan. We need the love, and that is coming home. There's no need to worry. The times dictate a plan. Mother Earth is giving birth to a brand new man. Sister, I know you're misunderstood, but hold on to your man, 'cause the future looks good. It's a new day. A new world order, a brand new day. It's a change of mind for the human race. It's a new world order, a brand new day. It's a change of mind for the human race. Beware of the lies and false prophecy. We are many with eyes, but don't all really see. You must be merciful, my friend, to obtain the same. So if you break the chain, don't pass the blame. We should say unto all, and I'll say it again, it's not just a win. Shake a hand, make a friend. We who are pure at heart somehow might see there's still light in the world. Come rejoice with me. It's a new day. A new world order, a brand new day. It's a change of mind for the human race. It's a new world order, a brand new day. A change of mind for the human race. It's a new day. 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 It's a new day.
Yes, you just heard the late great ancestor Curtis Mayfield song, The New World Order. change your mind and change your way. Greetings to you all in the best of salutations, peace, power, prayer, patience, and prosperity. Yes, I am here to express myself. Everyone and everything have need for self-expression. Yes. We wear clothes and cars that many drive, houses that we live in, It's expressing yourself. Just sharing what's on my heart, Probably will give some preambles or a preamble to the main thrust of the topic or the content of the topic, trying to contextualize it the best way that I can. Yes. I'm going to try to come out of the content of a Bible verse. Bible, biblio, means two. Testament, to strike a balance with the old and the new. Test is designed to see how you process information. It's talking about teaching about the law. Verses 15 through 20. And I mean verses, I'm not thinking in the sense of competition or competing, because I realize that many are competing over the influence, use the resources to influence others, But there's specifically one verse that I want to highlight. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but a candlestick, and giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. And I ain't talking about an elevated state of mind. Yes. Think that I am not come to destroy the law of the prophets, think not that I come to destroy the law of the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or tittle shall no wise pass from the law till all is fulfilled. Whoever therefore shall break one of these commandments shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven, and whosoever should do and teach them, they shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness should exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. The particular text I want to deal with is 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law of the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. To fulfill. Maybe we can go on the topic, I am satisfied. I am satisfied. Satisfaction. Satisfaction. What I'm going to do, I'm going to look up the word satisfied or satisfaction. Is it a guaranteed satisfaction, fulfillment of one's wishes, expectations, or needs, or the pleasures derived from this? It is a pleasure derived from one's wishes, expectations, or needs. The law, the payment of a debt, or fulfillment, or an obligation, or a claim. Satisfaction. When I think of the word obligation, I think of something that is moral and ethical. When I think of something that is moral, ethical, I think of a behavior. When it says, not my will, but thy will be done, means a behavior. I believe it was Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if a person don't teach you right, they ain't going to treat you right. The law. Pleasure. It says in this country that they were in pursuit of happiness. Self-indulgence. That's what it was. Self-indulgent. They wanted luxury. Luxury is associated with Luxor, the temple of Luxor, and Kemet. Luxury, leisure time. I found out that that people like to have convenience at the expense of inconveniencing you. We know that anyone who will toil and labor for someone else's gain and benefit, well, they themselves who are doing the labor are not reaping the same benefits that the one who asks you or force you to toil and work for them. It's a new world order. Change your mind, change your way. People are tired of being the economic base from somebody else's social status. Want to go back a little bit in time, if I may. Some choose not to go back, but so far. But does not necessarily mean, to me, if it's accurate or not. But I could take from it and utilize it to the best of my ability to make it relevant as it pertains to the here and now. In Chancellor Williams' book, The Destruction of Black Civilization, stated we should pause at the beginning of the Middle Kingdom, 2133 BC, because during the long 1500 years covered by my brief summary of the most unusual social, political phenomena occurred. I think that far too many times that we tend to think things are going to go on as usual, that we think that someone or something or that is going to come and help you in a informal manner, but yet you're looking for it to come in a formal manner. For example, you can look for someone and you see him in you saw him in a way, and then the next time you see him you don't recognize him because he is taking on a different form. All you have to do is understand the importance that nothing really dies or all is transformed. We are just the ancestor in another form. Okay. So unusual social political phenomena occurred. He has been referred to numerous times before in terms in its development, but now the unexpected has happened. At this point, we have passed 15 centuries of African-Asia amalgamation. We have, yes, I mean, you look at the British amalgamation, blacks and whites, and became a part of an aristocrat society, But first largely in Lower Egypt, but afterward more and more in black Upper Egypt. The Afro-Asian offsprings were called the new breed. That was a story or a movie said if we can't kick them out, we'll breed them out. You remember when Alexander went over to Egypt, told his generals to marry the women, and therefore the women started taking on the sentiments or the feelings and attitude of the invaders and the conquerors. And we look at in the society in which we live in, and what they call Black America. You look at some of the, you look at Hollywood, for example, Hollywood. You look at some of the roles that the whites played, and now blacks are playing similar roles and repeating and imitating white people. But they're being financially rewarded for it, and I think it's a brother by the name of I don't know how true it is, Chris Tucker. Certain roles he says he's not going to take, due to his belief. I think it was Marcus Garvey. He was made mention to Paul Robeson, and this Paul Robeson for me was one of the most influential brother when it comes to speaking many different languages, when it comes to entertainment. I mean, he was just powerful brother, man, powerful brother. Well, Marcus Garvey, talks about how we made money now, made gains. I mean, we could stop, acting like a fool, demeaning and degrading roles, you know. Yes. And then you look at some other scholars, such as Dr. Clark and Dr. Joseph Ben Yarkett and Chancellor Williams, John Jackson, you know. I mean, you look at even some of the Tony Broadwater, yeah, put him um, Ivan Van Sertima. You can go on and on and on, you know. You know, David Lewis. You can go on and on and on, but you know, um, is that what they were writing and challenging was the demeaning and degrading role that people who was writing history about black people, how it was being written, you know, challenged that. This new breed distinguishing the characteristics which were devotion to the Asians and hatred of the Africans, unless this point is grasped, we will all drop the study of African history. Insofar as understanding fully the internal troubles of this race. Firstly, the Afro-Asians or colored had far outnumbered the Asians in the northern population during the past 1500s. Secondly, the colors had become sensitively aware that they were suspended between two worlds. Dr. Du Bois, you know, the race, the color line, you know, Dr. King came to a point, you know, well, we're going to have full citizenship, or we're going to do something independently on our own. Caught in between two worlds, two realities. This duality is it's like a duel, a fight to death. What are we fighting for? Dr. Clark talks about blacks are looking for a sense of legitimacy, you know, always happen to prove, you know, that they belong. So I think Farrakhan talks about finding a sense of belonging. So that's why I like to say, under the Common Humanity mission, that I promote the value of self-worth. Yes, but biologically, can we prove that we all belong? We all had to come through our mama's womb. So we are here. So we belong here. Anything else that we try to prove along the way, it's this mischief, it's a deviation from the pure sense of, yes, we do belong here, and we are lovable as we are. Any mindset, we want to deal with the attitude and the mindset and the mentality, because you could tell the psychology of one's mentality by what he or she produce and the attitude that they have about what they are going to produce and what they have produced. So yes, it's in the attitude. It is said that Brother Imam Muhammad says that which was kicked out of what they call in the religious Bible of the garden was their attitude. You know, like corrupt knowledge, take not a bite of this corrupt knowledge, you know, that which is forbidden. Yes. Firstly, Afro-Asians, the colors, they far outnumbered the Asians in northern population during the past 1,500 years. Secondly, the colors had become sensitively aware that they were suspended between two worlds, the black and the white. They were not fully accepted in neither. Just watch this strategic stuff. The colors had become sensitively aware that they were suspended between two worlds. You know, also the boys talk about this hybrid. You know, then you deal with this, mulatto, this mixing. You know, this mixing. Okay, they were not fully accepted in neither. Nowhere did their Asian fathers and other white kinsmen regard or accept them as equals. That's another point within itself. I remember the story in the Bible where people talks about Job, and Job was doing all the talking. Then another brother, I think his name Elu or something to that effect, said, "Now you listen to me," which means he was saying that we must see each other and relate with each other on the basis of equality. On the basis of equality. And that is the true source of equity. Because righteousness is a win-win situation. Bob Marley never said it better. He says there will always be war when one race hold one race inferior and the other superior, when there's no more, when one's skin is no more significant than the color of his eyes. They were war. So what is the war? The war is psychological. The battlegrounds is ideological. Is talking about one's philosophical views. One's philosophical views were competing over influence. So he who controls the resource controls the influence. They have a greater influence over the minds and the behavior of the people. You think that when Lincoln said that gave the Emancipation Proclamation, he appealed to the consensus of the people, and the consensus of the people did not mean a large group of people. It is the consensus of those who can affect policy, those who can affect change. It could be a small group of people, but they have the resources to do so. And the greatest resources that we have is each other. A new world order, man. A new world, a change of mind, a change of way. Accept them as equals. You think in this society, as Dr. King says, we do an unjust. It's an injustice when we relate to one another based upon their wealth. So I treat you and talk to you differently because of your wealth. I don't talk to you in the same manner because you are a human being with dignity and honor and respect. While blacks had come to hate themselves as such as they hated the blacks. Thirdly, out of this situation, developed a passionate and defiant Egyptian nationalism that restricted the term Egyptian to mulattoes alone. Henceforth, neither Asians nor Africans were to be called Egyptians. Indeed, the new breed began to treat Asians as strangers. This new breed, and I'm talking about this new breed of so-called blacks. It could be a new breed of so-called whites. It's this new breed, which means breed that which you are breeding, the mentality that is being breeded based upon the psychology. Is further trying to hold on to its existence. But there is another breed that is rising up in consciousness. As Kwame Ture says, that the duty of the conscious is to make the unconscious unconscious of his or her behavior. There is a new breed that's always resisting to demeaning, degrading, behavior and activity in relationship with his or her humanity one with another. Let's check this strategy out. Okay, new breed of Asians. Strangers. You will be a stranger in this land. Stranger, that which is concealed, also is associated with the fallacious, The original Jews, the Ethiopians. Yes. So, no longer welcome in the lower Egypt, and the Afro-Asians had apparently resolved that since they could no longer be either black or white. Watch this here now. They would be a race by themselves, independent. Now, Dr. Du Bois called for intellectual intelligentsia. Imam Muhammad talks about independent intelligentsia. I think Wayne Nobles talks about black psychology when he talks about we have to see things from our perspective. Talking about anthropology, how we interpret reality, those things in which we have experienced. Black race that they will see themselves in their own right, The Egyptian race, it worked. Asians, if unmixed, were not called Asians. Africans, if unmixed, were not called Africans or Ethiopians. They alone, the new breed, were to be called Egyptians. So now, blacks are called African Americans. A new breed. Now, let's deal with this psychosocial dislocation or location, either or. If you look at, I think Imam never said it better, look at the cross, legs and arms. And you need a head. And the legs must be, the roots, and the arms become the branches and the leaves. But it must have a head. So if you take the roots, the legs from under, the roots, what does he has to stand on? If blacks cannot connect with Africa, what legs does he has to stand on unless he has grown some new legs here in America? It's good stuff, no qualms with that. Now, what about his arms? The branches of the leaves, where he can, reach across the globe, to connect with his other brother, with his brothers from Africa, or his brothers of good conscience and of goodwill. He don't have them. And what about his head? He should be able to hold his head up high. But if he cannot, his head is down. And what about if his head is like a cactus? No, not his head is like a cactus. No. Let's put it this way. If those who have the means have the power, it's called the power to control the means of productivity when it comes to information, whatever it is, if it's the Vatican in Rome, or it's the government or the politicians of a government in America at the Capitol, whatever it may be, they hold that power. They hold the information. They hold that information. They're keeping it for themselves. Remember a cactus, right? A cactus will draw what it needs to survive. So it has the water that it needs to hold on. The source of all productivity of food supply is water. We need it. But yet, when you try to go and get the knowledge from the cactus, you're going to get poked. You're not going to let you have it. You got to see that those who control the means of productivity, and we talk about the resources that they use to have influence over the minds of people, they are keeping it to themselves. And when you go to try to get it, you're going to get prodded. You're going to get poked by the cactus. They're saying, back off. So, that means that you have to go and do something for yourself. Yeah. So, Unmixed, they were called Asians. A new breed were to be called Egyptians, and the writers of the world follow this classification. Classification is Greek taxonomy. It's come from the word polis or policy. Policy, where only the people who had the wealth could vote. Women and children were not allowed. Taxonomy. Taxing you, placing a burden on you. Whereas that it should be positive, medium, and negative. Instead of, this classification of race, class, gender, and religion. But it's classification. From Homer's time to this day, I should use the term in the same way in all subsequent references. This is Chancellor Williams. In the earliest period, Egyptian would have meant the blacks. Later on, it would have meant blacks and Afro-Asians. Where do we come from? Blacks, Negroid, colored, Israelites, black Israelites, Muslims, Christians, original Jews. Come on. Afro-Americans, African-Americans, colored. Who does this classification, man? One thing I realize about a class room, teaching you about class. Aristocrat, oligarchical, imperialism, racism, isms in the body of humanity. How are you going to condemn the body of humanity? The white Asians were never called Egyptians even when they ruled all Egypt. Even at the present day, rulers of the land are unhappy with the term, much prefer to be called what they are, Arabs. Hence the change of the official name of the country from Egypt to the United Arab Republic. Very strategic, very strategic. Even those Hagos would dispute the term Arab itself. However, the increasing hostility to the Asians was due to their offsprings. The resentment over being rejected. We're dealing with the hostility. The resentment of being rejected as equal, being rejected as a human being, being considered as 3/5 of a person, being considered to have no value based upon your wealth, based upon your color. That breeds the resentment and the hostilities that we have toward one another. I say it's a new world, a change of mind, a change of way. For it's a new day. It's a new day. Business as usual. White Asians were in control. Talk about two worldviews now. Their hostility toward the Africans had been nurtured from birth. The hostility that whites have toward blacks has been nurtured by birth. The hostility that one has against his or her own humanity has been nurtured by birth. It is the attitude that we have about humanity. The attitude that we have and we use when it comes to knowledge. We're turning on each other. Turned by birth and remain the same, yet they never failed to seek alliances with blacks when it suited their purpose. This is just strategic stuff, man. Just as they today, through OAU or to marry any into ruling African family to enhance their perpetuate rule. Nurtured by birth. I'm going to read something else and I'll get into it. A book called Applying the Teachings of Imam W.D. Muhammad. Let's look at this. Chess Mastery of the Muslim World. Pay attention. There is a war going on. Pay attention. Everything is your teacher. The game of chess is a game of strategy. It is symbolic in competing forces in war. When two opponents sit down to play the game, the only game I know is a game of confidence. That's why you never store the confidence of a child. I remember when Serena and Venus Williams' father had an interview, and when the interviewer was saying, "How do you know you're going to be great?" And he kept saying, and he said, "Man," he vehemently, he said, "Man, don't you do that. You try to destroy the confidence of her." That's why we have to replenish the continuity of our confidence in cooperating with one another. Play the game, both aware that they were in a battle on the way, and the battleground for me is ideological. I think when the president went to Norway and he gave a speech, he would talk about this. Man, we all got the same ideology. Yes. Defeat and what has happened when two equally talented players sit down to a game and one player knows his objective and is playing to win, and the other player is playing without conviction or the realization that his opponent is really out to conquer him. Who is most likely to win? Yes. So, excuse me. Since September 11, the United States has declared all-out war on terror. This threat is so terrible, we are told that the might of our superpower must be used to crush and eliminate this threat elsewhere, everywhere in the world. The conclusion of the White House strategies policymakers is that a double-pronged plan of preemptive war, both military and otherwise, in reshaping the Middle East political and cultural realities. To shape one's political and cultural realities. I remember Dr. Seymour said this, educator in the Washington, D.C. area. She said, culture is dynamic. She said, when culture becomes destructive, you got to take a serious look at that culture. Yeah. It changes. It changes. Realities and values, will render the Muslim world a more manageable place for the New World Order. Render a more manageable place. You think that that people, blacks who live in urban communities, think that they trying to change their realities? I'm talking about those who control the media, press, and television, so they can manage them, so they can be more manageable. You think on that. Checkmate in the king of leadership. The way the game of chess is won is by checkmating the opponent. Checkmate occurs when several conditions have been successfully imposed upon the opponent. Several conditions. The opponent's king is under attack. Under attack. Placed in check. The opponent cannot destroy the attacker. The opponent cannot block or defend against the attacker. The opponent cannot escape from the attacker. The essence to the checkmate, the king is trapped and immobilized. Neutralized. Cannot escape the attacker. That which is constantly demeaning and degrading and devaluing and dehumanizing and demoralizing and disrespecting the dignity and the humanity of a people. Think not, I come to destroy the law of the prophets. I just come to fulfill. The king is not destroyed. The king ruled. But he is rendered useless. Hands tied. Feet tied, nailed to the cross. Hear me good. Powerless to protect his society. The king's forces have been either neutralized. Marcus Garvey said the greatest force is success. Decimated to a state where they cannot protect the king. He is under the threat of attack, annihilation. He cannot run or escape the attack. He cannot hide from or block the attack. He cannot counterattack. The only way I try to counter the attack is I operate as a social health engineer, try to counter that which has been socially constructed against the total well-being of one's dignity, one's integrity, one's humanity, one's value of his self-worth. The intelligence. He cannot run nor escape. He cannot hide or block or attack the attack, and cannot counterattack the opponent to remove the attacking foe. When checkmate occurs, check your mate. Check your mate. Mate, I will give you a mate that will help you. Not go against you, not be at odds with you, but help you. You can tell, Malcolm said, I believe, I don't know who said, you can tell the condition of a people by their attitude and the attire of their women. By Phil Shah's Ali book. Everybody should be familiar with that. Black Man's Guide to Understanding the Black Woman. Use your job, your child, whatever leverage that you have, you don't use it to go against your man. And we don't use whatever it is to go against our women. You don't use it to go against the humanity that God has given to us. Put us at odds with one another. That we act indignant toward one another. When checkmate occurs, the game is over. It is customary to lay down the king, to lay the king down, symbolic into submission. His submission leaves the society vulnerable and defenseless against the conqueror. We're dealing with the deadliness of arrogance, and that which is oppressing us is ignorance. Under what influence? Some were associated with Shaitan or Satan. That arrogance, the influence of arrogance that is oppressing people with ignorance, because they are so arrogant. People have become so arrogant that they don't see their own in ignorance and creating an environment of hostility and animosity and distrust. So should be no schism in the body of humanity. In our thinking, in our attitude, and in our behavior, in our interaction one with another, I come not to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. I may have messed up something there. The king represents the leadership. We talk about leadership. 4 or 5 major influence: business, government, culture, education, and religion. Leadership. The authority that governs a society. For me, I say the leadership is coordination and the authority is resiliency. Resiliency is the author of success, because for us to get here, those sperms that got one of those, we made it here. That's resilient because the sperm was going upstream. We're here. That's resilient. Personifications of what is happening amongst humanity. Leadership or authority of that society must be checkmated. To checkmate the Muslim world means to trap and confine its leadership. To checkmate blacks, is to trap and confine its leadership and authority, and to make them submit to the conqueror, rendering them unable to protect Muslim society. It's talk about Muslims, but I'm talking about the community. Yeah. If Dr. Francis Cress Wilson say, check. Got to give him credit. Through Muslim, through media, press, television, what have you. Even the celebrities. Yeah. How they're being used. Now their voices, they mean a lot. Their voice mean a lot because they got money. They celebrate it, huh? Huh? Silly. That's just silly. The political and military strategy of the United States, Israel is increasingly the European Union is designed to implement many strategies and tactics to contain and anesthetize the Muslim world. They anesthetize one's world, one reality. As Malcolm said, you give a man Novocaine, you make him suffer peacefully. The tools of checkmating the Muslim leadership include military threat, the absolute use of economic sanctions and economic hegemony, media, propaganda, gifts, bribes, blackmail, and a host of other tactics to include fear to reward compliance and punishment, misbehavior, and acting on one's own self-interest. Think not that I come to destroy the law of the prophets. Let's look at this book here, then I'm going to bring it on to a close. Understanding Islam, Chapter 3, Prophethood. The right course of man is to live in obedience to God, and for such a life of obedience, knowledge and faith are absolutely essential knowledge of God and His attributes, His likes, His dislikes, His chosen way and day of judgment, and unflinching faith in His knowledge. He called this is Islam. That's what he called it. I'm just reading from the text. You take it or not. God has graciously spared man's audacious task of acquiring his knowledge through his personal effort alone. Instead, he has revealed this knowledge to the prophets. And I'm not getting into it. This is what he said. I mean, he reveals this knowledge to any and everyone. If you look at the trees, I mean, how does it come about? You look at the correct interpretation of the universe. They all are interdependent of each other. The knowledge is revealed. All right, we're going. To the duty of women and to recognize the true prophet of God, his faith in him and his teachings, and obey in obedience. And this is the role of salvation. The prefix of salvation is to salvage that which remains. Prophethood is the nature and necessity. God is most gracious, providing man with all that he needs in his universe. Generally, every known-born child will rise in this world endowed with the eye, to see, to hear, to ear. Okay, we can stop there. Now, we are all born with responsibilities. But what he's talking about here is associated with one's faculties. Yes. Because perception determines your perspective. Because the eyes, as the Native Americans would know, is the soul. And the mouth follows the eyes. Think not. Consider doing something that you're going to later regret. Think not that you should have questioned your leaders. Yes. Think not that we question what people say. Huh? Think not. You think that you are not going to be tested like other people were tested before you. Think not, huh? This is how you get to know really an individual. When we test each other, what we say, what we think we know, huh? We test the relationship. And that's how it is with leaders. We got to test the leaders. They got to be tested. Now, how come everybody else is under surveillance, the citizens under surveillance, but the leaders are not under surveillance? That is the opposite, man. How can we outlive our responsibilities? That's why John Kennedy said that the irresponsible, the challenge is I'm paraphrasing, the irresponsible use of government is that is instead of making money off the people, we make money for the people. We have to have this balance, man. Coming into the asar. That means we unify all aspects of our lives and bring it to the forefront of our mind. The asar, the Christ is a state of development through the process of spiritual consciousness. The balance of my heart, the balance, striking the balance. As he says, the old and the new. Striking that balance, man. We don't want to be too much overly logical and not emotional. We want to have the emotion and the logic. We want the balance, man. The balance. The key to social life is family. The key to social life is family. But we have to have the balance, man. When you have the balance, this is fulfilling. We need to demonstrate in the best manner, in the best way, that we are fulfilling. We ain't coming to destroy. We're not being destructive. As Nina Fuller say, that when we come together, we must give each other constructive value. That's all. That's all we need to is give each other constructive value as a human, as an individual, as a family, as a community, as a people, as a nation, as a world, global citizens, global value, constructed global value, man. It's a new world order, man. Change your way, change your mind, change your way. Instruction. How can you assess a thing unless you must, how can you assess a thing? How do you assess a thing and understand a thing, the unknown, unless you must first calculate the known? Mathematics is the instruction. It's the math. When we talk about the math, you deal with you realize that nothing can manifest itself unless it first have order. When you talk about order, you talk about duty, you talk about responsibility, then you talk about accountability. Because there is a lack of accountability. When there's a lack of accountability, it's moral culture decline that's called recidivism. I come not to destroy the law, but to fulfill the law. Accountability. If that ain't satisfiable or satisfactory, I don't know what is. Because when you open up a bank account, you must need to budget your balance. Or budget your account. Balance. Think not I come. It's a mood. It's a mood. It's a mood. It's a feeling. May our feelings don't become desensitized. May we move from sympathy to empathy and not become apathetic. Frame of mind. Destroy the law of humanity, our talents, our gifts, our talents. Use them in the best of ways, in the best of manners, for the betterment of humanity with a sense of integrity and dignity. Doing so the benevolent way. The law of humanity, nomos. Nomos, systematic knowledge, the nomos. the Dogons, dealing with the being able to look and determine the times and the calendar. There was the calendar when it comes to the stars. And once we look up there and see that they are all independent of each other, they're all in cooperation with one another. That which is done above shall be done below. Come not to destroy a distribution, the voice. We all have a voice, person, persona, that through which sound is made. There is an assignment. Remember, Dr. King said there need to be a radical redistribution of values. Distribution. The assignment, we all have an assignment. That means we all here to have a responsibility for self, for family, community, nation, one with another when it comes to our humanity. Once you have the right attitude about it, the wrong attitude is forbidden. What is assigned to you? What are you here to do? Say, my mission is to promote the value of self-worth. I see that. Most people come and they study the psychology of a people. They see what's going on with them. Marcus Garvey studied Booker T. Washington, philosophy, self-reliance. Farah Muhammad studied, he saw the psychology of people. Then you deal with the Amador society. I'm just saying, people come and study. They come to see what's going on, the psychology, the soul, psycho, the soul. Not to mention, you look at Frederick Douglass, he realized about his sister Esther, Aunt Esther, when the white man wanted her. And she didn't want him, and he abused her. And he said he realized that his relationship with his slave master was one of immorality. Yeah, think about that. What is assigned to you? The task. The task must be synchronized. We all are sent to do something. Sent to a particular group, a particular people, maybe a particular person. Is that satisfying enough? Your person could be your daughter. You gave birth to her. Could be your daughter. Could be your son. Could be your son's friend. And this doesn't have. The challenge is it doesn't have to be done in a formal way. It is informal because I come in an informal way, to present the message of vitality for the greater good that would ensure cooperation and trust when it comes to our common humanity and when it comes to reconnecting the disconnected, common, mature, benevolent community. I come to defend integrity. The weapon that I use is dignity, and I do it the benevolent way. My mandate is to cultivate the light of knowledge that is in us all. The motto is to communicate with precision a clearer image to the world through 5 channels of communication. First, understanding, tolerance, temperance/temperament, confidence, and respect. Prophets always come with a shaped message. For a particular time and place, to a particular group, people, nation. But it's for the betterment of the world in which we live. And one of the things we have to be clear on, it's like a net, and we call it planet, right? Planet's a net. And we must be and come to a point where we perfect this obedience to the law of the prophets. And they had one message, that is unity. Unity. For the love of it. For the love of it. For the love of it. That's satisfying. That's satisfaction. That's fulfilling. Family come together in unity. Family sticking together in unity. Unifying the assault, unifying all aspects of our life, the assault to Christ. So why would we keep crucifying Christ over and over and over and over again? May we continue to fulfill the law that which reflects the psychology of our mentality in the best of ways. Going beyond race, going beyond class, going beyond gender, and going beyond religion. So I say to you, be kind, be thoughtful, be wise, be considerate, but don't be naive. Don't be naive. All that say they are for you, they are against you. I am. You are. They're them. And we are us. Oneness is stronger than conflict. Unity is stronger than diversity. Stronger, we just said stronger. Until next time, talk to you.